This cabinet came to me with a horrible paint job on it. I guess originally it was painted orange, and then somebody did a bad black paint job over it. And so what I did was wash it really good. There was skunk all over it. Sanded it down just to take off whatever was sitting there. This is a really old vintage cabinet. I did strip the top, and the wood is absolutely gorgeous. Solid all the way through. It's not a veneer on the top. So that was a nice surprise, but it took me forever to strip the top of this. So you can imagine, I don't know what they used for the orange paint, but the orange paint was horrid. It would just get all gummy on my sandpaper. So I didn't want to sand anymore. So I'm going to paint this with a really pretty finish. And so I decided, you can see the pink stripe on the right. I'm going to use that paint, but it didn't cover. Because when you use highly pigmented paint, it's a good idea to start with a solid, like a gray, a light gray, a dark gray, or like a white before you go over it. So I'm going to go ahead and I grab some chalk paint. Any old chalk paint will do, but just so your information, this is Dixie Belle's Gravel Road, one of my favorite colors. I'm just going to put one quick coat. Do you see how well it's covering compared to how the highly pink pigmented covered on the right hand side? Sometimes just these more base colors, blacks, whites, grays, can be a better, like a primer almost. I didn't have primer, so I just used a dark gray paint. And it worked very well, and it's going to then cover when I put the pink color over the top, because I'm going to use like a pinkish purple, it's like a Merlot color and a black to paint this piece and just get it rocking and rolling. So first coat, just one quick coat, just to kind of even out that finish. We don't really want the ugly part to show through. So now we're going to start throwing some colors up. So I grabbed Miss Lillian's paint, and I'll have to get the names of the colors. I can't remember what they were. I know the black is called Onyx. Darn it all. I hate when I do that. Oh, well, anyhow, I'll grab them and actually put them in the description so that you know what they are. So one is a kind of a pink color, and that's the two I started with. It was pretty fun to try to figure out what colors to use on this. So I'm just going over it with the black, and then the pinky color. I don't think maybe it's called cranberry. I'll have to go look it up. The problem is I paint these at my shop during the day, and then I record the videos at home. And did I remember? Nope, of course not. Sorry about that, but you know what? So I'm just putting some of the black over, and it can be any color you guys want. It's kind of a pinkish color, and then when you blend it with the black, it turns into a purple color, which is super fun. A two-color blend sometimes is just all you need, but I will end up grabbing a third color because I'm going to add a transfer on this thing, and I really wanted it to go better with the transfer. The transfer had more of a wine, deeper burgundy color. So we're just going to put the black and then the light pink purple color and blend the two together. And when you do that, you'll notice when I blend, I don't switch out my brush. I dip my paint a little black, a little pink, a little black, and I play with it. Now remember, this is pretty much the second coat, because the first coat we did with the gray, just to throw some paint down. Now I could have painted this whole thing black, probably would have been smarter, but no big deal. I wasn't sure what colors I was going to use, so I just kind of usually go with a gray for a base color if I don't know what color I'm going to put on. So we're just kind of taking it, adding a little bit of black, and blending that pink together. What that's doing is causing this really cool effect. I got to grab my spray bottle. It was hot as Hades today when I was doing this, and so the paint is drying super fast. Remember, a fine sprayer is your friend when it comes to blending. I am using a Klingon 040 brush, which is my go-to #1 brush in my paint arsenal. Can't live without this brush. This is an amazing brush, and I do retail it, and I do have them in stock. So I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, this is the transfer I want to use, but it's cut. The paint's got a little more purple. I grabbed a color that is kind of like a wine burgundy pink color and just threw it in the middle. What this did with my blend and add a little bit of water is toned it down. Remember, the paint's still wet. The paint is still wet, and we're just going to add and make that a little bit deeper. Instead of being a purple color, it's kind of adding a, what's the word I want to look for? Gosh, just a little bit of a cranberry center, which is brightening up that and bringing it down so it's not so purple. So we're going from like a gothic purple to more like an eggplanty Merlot color in the middle. And so I'm just adding dots of this paint to the paint that's already on there. I'm not going to dip in the black or the pink. I'm just adding this cranberry color to the centers and thinking, because I really wanted it to match that transfer that I had chosen for the door, just getting it to just pop a little bit better. I think when you look at it that the top drawer looks way better than the bottom drawer or the middle drawer, because it just has a warmer color and not so purple, because the black and the pink made a purple. So we're just going to throw some of this up there. I will keep using my fine mist sprayer to reactivate my paint. I am using Miss Lillian's paint on this because I just like the color combo that it gave me. Any kind of chalk paint that you guys have, totally use it. It doesn't matter the brand. Just make sure you're using a good quality chalk paint. So I'm adding a little bit more black to the mix and just blending them all together. I will go ahead and add some more black around the outside and then bring it down to the middle. Do you notice how much deeper now the wine cranberry color is as opposed to when it was more purple? I think this is going to suit my transfer so much better than I originally had thought. What do you guys think? Isn't it fun how just a little, and we're talking dots of paint. You guys, I'm not using a ton of paint. Now when I hold the transfer up, I'm like, okay, that makes a little more sense to me, right? The transfer that I'm using, and to be honest, I don't even know the name of it. It is a scrap of a transfer I have had for years. Now, I never get rid of my transfers, ever. I keep them, and I use the scraps because that one was part of like another transfer that had a bunch of different flowers on it. So I don't even think it's available anymore. So don't ask me the name of it because I just don't know. It is a very old transfer. I do know that, probably 5 or 6 years old. And I must say that I was a little worried that the adhesive on the transfer may not stick because it was so old, but it went on like a breeze. It wasn't a problem whatsoever and worked flawlessly. So I was pleasantly surprised. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. So now we're going to do the sides, and this is a cool piece. Like I said, this is really vintage, but it adds so many layers of terrible paint on it that I knew that I had to come up with some way to make it more to the future, more relevant, right, to what was happening today. So we are putting black, which is called onyx, because this is Miss Lillian's paint we're using, but any paint brand you want to use, you can use. This is more of a magenta color, pink color. If I was going to use this in the Dixie Belle brand, I would probably use Caviar and Peony to get this look. And then probably some, what's their burgundy color? Gosh, I've sold their paint forever. I can't think of what their burgundy color is. Not Rusty Nail would work in the middle, or like Barn Red would probably work as the red part. So all the paint lines, you can just come up with your own colors. You don't have to have the exact same paint that I'm using. It's just a guide. It's just a way to show you how to blend colors together. So now we've got more of the pink purple. Now I'm going to grab that cranberry color. We're just going to add it in the middle. And what it's going to do is give us that a little bit of a highlight. I just really love the color it changed to, right? Very quickly too. And so we're just going to have like a little bit of a subtle blend. I'm still going to probably add some dark wax and just get it to pop a little bit more, add a little more black, because we just don't want the insets to be like these little squares. We kind of want to soften them up. And so a little more black with my brush. Guys, I'm using the same brush. I'm not using 3 brushes for 3 colors. I am using 1 brush and blending all those beautiful colors together. Isn't that make it so much more fun and so much easier for cleanup, right? Who wants to spend all day cleaning brushes? Not me. So that's the great thing about using 1 brush. And when you're using, now if I was using a white and I was using a black, I would probably use 2 different brushes. When I'm using colors that really blend well together, I can get away with using 1 brush. Isn't that fabulous? Less brushes to clean. And I clean my brushes every single day because they are the tools of my trade, and I don't ever want to leave paint on them and make them not, be effective for me. A little bit of water, like I say, it was probably 100 outside, probably in the 80s in my workroom. I don't have an air conditioner back there, so I have fans and I have like a little portable air, which doesn't work that well. So the fine mist sprayer is going to save your life when it comes to this stuff. Like, it is what needs to happen to move the paint on your piece. It works so well. So you just need little bits of paint, and when you go ahead and go back in and darken up those areas, just add the dark part, the black, and keep working it in. And then if you need the pink or the cranberry color, you just add a little bit to your brush. I think the biggest problem that people have when they just first start to learn to blend is they add too much paint to their brush, too much water. It's just little dots of paint, seriously. So now comes the fun part. I kind of laid it back a little bit. I cut the transfer to size, and I'm going to attempt very hard to put something like that you have to cut out into a hole, like exactly where it needs to go. Because once you lay down that transfer, it's stuck. So I just kind of just went with it and just rolled it out, and it's a little crooked, but you know what? If you think it's too much, then you have to start all over and sand it all off. So just lay your transfer down and rub, 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 rub. I love using the transfer tool that I have from Redesign with Prima. Those are on my website. I love this thing. I've had mine for like 4 years and it works so well. So just remember, when you're doing a transfer, is to rub. Do not rip off the plastic like a Band-Aid. That's not how they work. Do pull slowly. If for some reason the transfer is still stuck to the plastic, as it was in a couple spots, just rub, rub, rub some more and lay the plastic back down. That's why you don't pull it like a Band-Aid. So you just got to work your way and just lift the sheet of plastic very slowly and rub in front of where you're pulling. It helps a lot so that it does release that transfer. As you notice, I rub right in front of where I'm pulling, so that way it helps just take that adhesive and make it stick. So now the transfer is part of the piece. We'll put a clear coat over the top just to seal it down. I'm burnishing it right now with a burnishing pad. This really does help to adhere it to the paint. And now we have a finished